The Wellcome Genome Campus is a world-leading genomics research campus near Cambridge. Every year we engage with around 30,000 people, both on and off-site. But then lockdown happened. One of the first things to think about when creating digital content is the range of opportunities this new environment might provide you with. Evidence from our resources website, yourgenome.org, shows there has been a shift in people moving from downloadable resources to grab-and-go content like YouTube. And whilst filming a speaker and sticking it on YouTube is a great way to showcase your work, we were keen to move to more interactive forms of online engagement. For example, hosting interactive workshops, writing blogs, making podcasts. The whole world is full of opportunities. For example, we have been able to invite audiences into parts of the campus they could not usually visit. We had a researcher give a tour of their malaria lab to hundreds of female students from across the UK who definitely could not have physically fit into the lab. We have found that activities where the audience can engage directly with the scientists are the most impactful. Since lockdown, the world of virtual platforms has accelerated, and there are so many options out there, both free and paid for, and we recommend looking around and using what works best for your event. For example, because we already have a large Facebook following, our first few virtual talks were done through the Facebook Live function. It's free, easy to use, and you have a ready-made audience. We use Zoom Webinar a lot because it allows more control, as the audience cannot use their microphones or cameras. How can that be engaging, you ask? Well, they can still chat with us through the chat box and dedicated Q&A box. For an even more engaging platform, we use Spatial and Remo, which allow for smaller groups to talk with each other and are both great for networking. We have also worked with other partners to create a bespoke platform for specific projects, and we have taken part in some large festivals who have used the VFest platform, which has an auditorium and an exhibition hall, so it feels like you're at an actual conference or festival. Basically, we haven't just committed to one platform for everything we do. We have looked around and are utilising what is on offer. But the most important thing, make sure you test run the platform beforehand to iron out any bugs.
We now do not need to worry about how far people will travel to attend our events, as they can do so from the comfort of their own home. With 96% of Great British households having internet access, it's a really great way to expand your audience reach, and with most platforms being available across a range of devices, it doesn't mean audiences have to have access to a PC. Their mobile phones will do. And given the extended geographical reach digital engagement brings, we've also been able to reach more diverse audiences. Social media is a great way to spread the word about events, as even without many followers, it still works. We use a lot of paid campaigns, which work really well, especially on Facebook, and can be linked directly to Eventbrite. However, casting our net wider has meant we caught a few trolls, so we've definitely needed to be more vigilant.
When working virtually with children and adults at risk, the same safeguarding principles apply as with in-person interactions. Having control over your virtual event is key, which includes who can join. We produce new guidelines and policy documents to help ensure safe and good practice across our wider researcher and staff-led activities. When working with children and adults at risk, we always make sure a guardian is present with them. In order to keep a level of privacy, we encourage hosts and audience members to change their virtual backgrounds and only show their first names. Having a risk assessment is just as important as at in-person events. Luckily, we have not had to deal with major internet issues or Zoom bombers, but we always have a moderator on hand and a plan of action, just in case. And lastly, we have made it protocol to always record our events for safeguarding reasons. Even if the recording will not be used, it is recommended to keep it for 90 days. When your audience are watching from home, there are so many more distractions for them. You need to grab their attention and keep it. Making your event as interactive as possible can help with this. Set out the rules of engagement early. Let your audience know you want them to ask questions in the chat and that they will be asked to take part in polls. Don't just assume they know they can get involved. We often do a quick fun poll to start an event, so the audience know how the platform works, but also realise how easy it is to get involved. Keep them on their toes. Mix up what you do every 10 to 15 minutes, which can be hard to do, but really helps keep the audience engaged. You can alternate speakers, introduce a challenge, or ask a poll. There are many different ways to conduct evaluation. During the event, we do live voting by using tools like Mentimeter. By asking our audience to take part in these live votes, we are adding a fun, interactive element to our evaluation, whilst being able to gather instant quantitative data. Many platforms have integrated polling options and also allow for word clouds. With most platforms, like Zoom for example, when the event comes to a close, you can link directly to a survey. We use SurveyMonkey for this, and it works well to gather quantitative and qualitative data, and helps to show patterns in our results. We sometimes throw in an incentive, like vouchers, to get response rates up. There are so many ways to make a virtual event more fun. From being creative with imagery by using cardboard cutouts, graphics, or even emojis, using sound effects, or even doing costume changes, or have a makeover. There are plenty of ways to make your events original and keep the audience coming back for more. You can also be a lot more creative with your activities. For example, we were easily able to hold a coding workshop and give over 170 members of the public the opportunity to create some code live during the event. It's also an opportunity to not only test out new ideas, but rethink old ones. We restreamed some of our old talks via Facebook Live and put together a downloadable activity pack of our pre-existing education assets. From evaluation done at virtual events, attendees have said they still plan to attend online events after restrictions have lifted. This means online events are here to stay, so we'd better get on board with them.